Hi guys, look at what we have today. This is a brand new release from Seiko, only just out. It's part of a Presage range of watches, and this one, get ready for it, it's a bit of a mouthful. Seiko Presage Classic Series Open Heart Delicate Cream Silk. It just flows off the tongue. The reference number actually is SPB 480J1. And I have to say, it's a lovely looking watch. As we all know, this range of watches is more kind of aimed at the dress watches really. So we're not going to be seeing massive amounts of water resistancy or big loom or anything like that with these range of watches. This is more the, I say, the dress watch for kind of we wear with a shirt or a blouse or whatever. And, you can see straight away it reflects that immediately in the design. But before I start on this review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches of Kenilworth for allowing me to review this piece. They've got a massive selection of watches, and I say, not just the usual brands, but lots of other brands as well. Some a little bit more unusual, which, I always think is a good thing because it gives you variety. So if you're in the Midlands area, strongly recommend going into their shop. If you're a bit further afield, well, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description below and at the bottom page now. All I ask is that you do mention the channel. So anyway, let's talk sizes first. I'm reading 39.9mm across. The thickness of the watch is 13.5mm. It's quite interesting actually. I reviewed a watch the other day, the Crafter Blue, and people complained about the sheer thickness of that. It was massive. But when you look at this, it actually looks quite slim. It's that crystal, just like on the other one, which really makes it look taller. Now, the lug to lug on this one is 45.5, and the bracelet size is 20mm. So the dial, let's face it, it looks superb. It just has that kind of elegance about it. We've got this creamy champagne kind of look to the dial actually, and as you can see, it has actually got a texture to it, like a sunburst, and starting out from the center and coming out there. It just looks really, really classy. And then there's the hands. The hands, as you can see, have got really good polish to them. They look really, really good. The way they capture the light just looks superb. There's a definite, it's got a very elegant theme about it, this watch. Then you come to these hour markers, which again are gold accents matching the hands, and they just look so beautifully done. I like the fact you can see the second hand there does actually come down. I believe it comes down at the edge. I don't think that's just for distortion. I think they have actually bent it over. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I haven't took one apart, so can't say for definite. But it looks the business. As to with the minute hand there, we have just Seiko written across the top there. Is it applied? No, it is actually written. And then the Presage automatic 3 days. Now, I don't know why you have to put 3 days on there. Obviously, they're proud it's a new movement. They've got a couple of more hours out of it, so that's why they've done the 3 days. But I personally think it would look better without that added bit of text there. It just would have looked a little bit cleaner. Now, the whole dominating thing here is that open heart. And what is meant by that is you can actually see the balance wheel. That's this part here, spinning back and forth. And it is a nice touch. I like the fact you can see straight through, as you can see behind it there. It does give it a nice bit of kind of depth, even down to the way they've actually chamfered off the dial to match into it, as to this second dial under here. Now, at first thoughts, you may have thought this is a seconds or maybe a big, a pointer, a date pointer type, but it isn't. It is a 24-hour indicator. Now, it would have been nice, I think, if that could have been operated separately from the main time. But unfortunately, it just indicates the standard time, but in a 24-hour period. So what's meant by that is, like we can see here, this is now 13 minutes past the hour of 10. And we can see by this hand down here, but that is in the AM sector. Obviously, once it passes there, it goes into PM. If that could have been operated individually, it would have enabled you to be able to have a second time zone on here, which would have been a really nice feature to do, but would obviously also bump up the price somewhat, as it is quite, a lot more complicated to make. But I do love the way they have scalloped out the dial there. I think the dial is actually curved because otherwise the scalloping there would match the scalloping on that side. But it is quite nice. I'll actually show it in action so you can see how it does. It's not a screw down crown, and it goes straight into handset mode, as you can see by the hacking. Now, if you watch that small dial down there, as I pass over into PM, you can see it's gone over into 12. And that's how it actually works there. So it looks good. Is it useful? I don't know. It would have been lovely to have seen a second time zone or a date pointer even. That would have looked also very, very cool. The date pointer wouldn't have been quite as hard to do. It would have been a bit easier than the second time zone. But anyway, I digress. Overall, I think it looks great. I really do like the dial. I think it really looks good. And as I say, as we come out past that, you've got this whopping great big sapphire crystal on there with ever such a lovely dome on it. It is double domed. There is AR coating. It is on the inside. And overall, I think it just looks superb, that dome. It looks really good. Coming past that, we have a fixed bezel. And then beneath that, we have another gold accented ring going along there before we actually get to the case. It's one of those things, I personally prefer silver watches unless it's all gold, but, there's going to be someone out there who really likes this look. You've got a very nice polished side there. You do have a subtle break and it gives you a slight beveled edge as it comes around there. I think that looks really, really nice. The actual lugs with the radial graining look really clean and tidy. And as we come around to this side, we have a sign crown. As I mentioned, this doesn't have a screw down crown, but you actually still get 100 meters of water resistance with it, which is more than adequate for this type of, well, for most watches really. It does look really good. On the back, as we look back there, we have an open display case. As I say, the actual movement under there is their 6R, I think it's 6R5J. And as I've said before, it's a 24 joule, 72 hour power reserve. I did put it on the timegrapher and I think it was coming in at around about +7, +7.5. Obviously that might come down when it's on the wrist, I don't know, but overall it did look quite clean. Then we have this multi-link bracelet here. It's actually quite interesting. It does, normally I'm not so much of a fan, but it is quite smooth. It does feel quite nice. And one of the other things which is quite impressive on it, you can adjust every single link. So if you wanted to, you could make this incredibly small, or let's say you take off 5 links to get it to fit, and then you scuff up a couple of links, you can always pop them out and put your replacement links in there, and that way you get rid of any potential scuffing. Now, as we look here, we have a butterfly clasp on there, so all nice. Let's put it actually on my wrist so you got an idea how it looks. A quick wrist check. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. I'm wearing my Breitling Colt 41. Still, I think possibly one of the best Breitlings I've ever come across. Simple fact is, it hasn't been polished in any way. It is all brushed. My favourite Breitling. And Bob has the limited edition 99 model of their new Flieger. I believe everyone has been sold out. That could be the only one left for sale. My wrist size is 7¼ inches. As I say, we do have a butterfly clasp there, so when you close it, there's no actual sign apart from the 2 pushers there. A more elegant looking than a standard sports clasp. And that's it on my wrist. You can see how much bracelet you get there. I'd say you probably covered up to 7½, maybe coming on to 8 inch. But there you go. I think it looks a really great looking dial. It's got so many textures, so the scallops add a little bit to it, and then you have that open heart. It does look very, very nice. Anyway guys, I'll leave you to it with that one, but most importantly, stay safe out there. All the best. Bye.